When composing text, authors will often adopt varying forms as a method of displaying their respective ideas and values. Although these enduring values may not change, they can be communicated in a unique way that powerfully immerses the audiences of their time. Such is the case when exploring the differing forms of Alan Moore and David Lloyd's graphic novel, V for Vendetta. James McTeague's film adaptation shapes the representation of the battle against tyranny and power by individual means. The graphic novel's intricate artworks and extensive narrative shows V's motivations in eliminating the power of the Northfire government. In contrast, the film's use of cinematic techniques convey a glorification of anarchy and ridicule the Northfire government's authoritarian attributes. Both representations communicate detailed, intricate ideas and values, whether through film scenes or graphic novel frames, to the audience of their time and to us today. We see a variation of one of the movie's pivotal scenes in which Evie Hammond undergoes an extended period of relentless interrogation and torture at the hands of V, with V's motive being to eliminate the fear of death from the mind of Evie. Evie reads a note during her time as a victim of V's torture, going through the same experiences as V, both in the novel along with the film. McTeague makes use of low lighting and non-diegetic sound to relay the message that Evie is emotionally distraught and struggling to process the traumatic events unfolding around her.
This is the only autobiography that I will ever write.
He also makes use of montages and rapid cuts, giving the viewer an idea of the psychological trauma that Evie endured, and with the emotions of the lesbian captive that V became familiar with. Moore uses a dark color palette to depict the trapped, lonely, and fearful emotions of Evie, as well as an extensive use of medium and close-up drawings. Both forms represent the idea that without pushing past one's limits, fear will still linger, giving us the value that fearlessness is needed to eradicate totalitarianism. V's renegade action in both forms is valuable in showing that to institute a good future, obscenities must occur to improve his allies. Moore and McTeague paint the picture that V is a revolutionary attempting to eradicate totalitarianism, thereby his goal being to eliminate the Northfire government and establish anarchy. Within the film, the idea is relayed that people deserve the truth by any means necessary, hence the Battle of the BTM.
Words will always retain their power. Words are for the means to meaning, and for those who will listen, the enunciation of truth. And the truth is, there is something terribly wrong with.
In the novel, V takes a similar course of action, however he calls the people to make a stand, illustrating leaders like Stalin, Hitler, and Mussolini, attempting to prove the point that the election of substandard leaders is the fault of the people. The exposure of truth and calling for the people to stand up for themselves shows the ongoing theme throughout both representations that V seeks a liberation of knowledge, giving us a visualization of the conquest for the freedom from Northfire. Moore illustrates V in a hue of various dark shades of blues and greys, communicating a cold corporate theme, whilst the viewpoint and illustrations of the commoners are portrayed with a bright yellow hue representing the comfort they have within their home. Exhibiting that under such tyrannical regimes suggests how the people who traded their freedom for comfort and security are pathetic, as he yearns for them to stand up as their comfort came at the cost of many lives. The conclusions of both Moore and McTeague's representations both reflect the idea that the death of V will not conclude his revolutionary cause. McTeague's form gives us the value that ideas will not perish, meaning his death is crucial in the fight against the corruption and totalitarianism of the Northfire. Within the novel, the name of the chapter where codename V dies is named Valhalla, being the place of Viking afterlife, meaning a glorification of the warrior-like death V succumbs to, being shown by the intricate illustration of emotion. Most commonly, Viking bodies are laid into a boat and lit on fire. However, in both the film and the novel, V is sent onto a train that blows up. McTeague's film uses the non-diegetic sound of Tchaikovsky in a crescendo manner, where the volume reaches a peak, common in musical pieces to signify a grand finale. Both represent the idea that the motive V stood for will not die with this life, further aiding the point that V's aim is to lay down the cornerstone of anarchy and hand some power back to the people. Ultimately, it becomes discernible that the forms of McTeague and Moore reflect the values of revolutionary action, the death of figures and people but not ideas, as well as the idea that people elect others who make their lives miserable. These three main values extend further, as shown in the scenes from the differing forms of Alan Moore and McTeague's representations, evidently telling us that the difference in form does not change the ideas and values, but provides vivid depictions that one or another another is unable to replicate in its form.